Surely you have ever found yourself in a situation like this, where you cannot play video smoothly in DaVinci Resolve. In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 different ways to solve this problem, and thus you'll be able to edit much faster in DaVinci Resolve. Here I have a drone video in H.265 format, to which I have applied a simple color retouch. As we can see, the video cannot be played correctly. The first step to be able to play the video smoothly is to go to the Playback tab located at the top. We click and look for the option Timeline Proxy Resolution. We can see that it is activated in full. This means that the resolution that is shown in the viewer is the maximum, one that we have chosen in the timeline. For example, if you edit a project in 4K, the viewer will see it in 4K resolution. To play the videos correctly, you can lower the resolution to half or quarter. Don't worry, this does not affect the quality of the final video at all. It only affects how we see it in the viewer when editing. I will select quarter. We see that we do indeed lose resolution in the viewfinder, but in return we gain speed. Now if I play the video, we will see that it moves much smoother than before. Here, you have a before and after comparison. So you can see the difference when playing the video and the change in the resolution. Now we go with the second method, render in cache. With this method, you'll be able to see the video with much more quality in the viewer and in a smoother way. The first step is to go to the Playback tab and look for the option to render cache. Here we see that we've selected none, which means that it's disabled. We have 2 methods. Firstly, Smart. DaVinci Resolve will take care of everything and will only render the video files it needs to play them smoothly. Secondly, Custom, in which we should render the files manually. I recommend using the automatic option. It's the most comfortable and the one that gives the best results. When activating the render cache, we will see that a red line appears at the top of our timeline. This red line indicates the parts that DaVinci Resolve has not rendered. On the left side, we can see that a blue line is appearing. The blue line indicates the parts that they have already been rendered and can be played correctly. Now, if we play the video in the part of the blue line, it will play smoothly, but when it reaches the red line, it can no longer play it well, because it's not yet rendered. You must wait for DaVinci Resolve to finish rendering everything to be able to play the video correctly. Now I will explain the most important parameters of the render cache. First of all, we must go to the project settings by clicking on this icon here. Very well. In the master settings section, we look for optimized media and render cache. Here we can change the resolution of the files that DaVinci Resolve creates when rendering. I recommend setting it to automatic. It's very important to take into account the optimized media format and the render cache format. Here we can choose in which format the videos will be rendered. The ones above are uncompressed formats and will take up a lot of space on your computer. I would recommend use DNX HRLB. If you want it to take up less space and you don't mind losing a bit of quality when editing your video, but if you want your videos to look almost the same as the originals, I recommend using the DNX HRHQX format. Keep in mind that if you use a Mac, they will appear other video formats. These are the ones that appear in Windows. And remember that all this does not affect the final quality of your video. When you export the final video, it will be exported using the original files. Finally, I recommend decrease the seconds. In the section Enable Background Caching After Seconds, and what is this for? For example, if we have it activated in 5 seconds, when you are editing the video and you stop editing, DaVinci Resolve will wait 5 seconds to start rendering the files. So I recommend you lower the time to 1 second or 2 seconds. Click on Save. This is important. When you're done with your project, you have to delete the cache files. To do this, we go to the Playback tab, delete render cache, and select the option All. Now we simply click on Delete. Now we can see how the whole blue part is deleted. To know in which folder of the computer these cache files are being saved, we must go to the DaVinci Resolve tab at the top. We click on Preferences, and in Media Storage, we can see in which folder the cache files are saved. If you click the Add button, you can choose any folder and hard drive where you want to save these files cache. Let's go with the last method, create proxy files. As well as the cache files, we must choose in what format we want to create the proxy files. For it, we go to Master Settings, and then we look for Optimized Media and Render Cache. This time, we must change the resolution parameters of Proxy Media Resolution and Proxy Media Format. You can choose H.264, H.265, or DNx-HR format. I recommend DNx-HRLB. It has the lower quality, but takes up very little space on your computer. In Proxy Media Resolution, we can leave it on automatic. And then we click on Save. Create the proxy files. It is very simple. We must look for the video clips that we will use in the timeline in the media pool. In this example, I'm only going to create proxy files of a single clip to show how it's done. But if you want to create proxy files of all clips, just select all the files. Right-click on the video, and we look for the option Generate Proxy Media. Click, and then DaVinci Resolve will start generating the proxy files. We wait for it, and ready. When we have a proxy activated, this icon will appear above the video clip. As you can see, this icon, it only appears in the video that I have created a proxy file. In the other clips, it does not appear. If this icon does not appear, it's because you have proxy files deactivated. To activate them, go to Playback, Proxy Handling, and here you must activate the option Prefer Proxies. If I deactivate it, you can see that the icon has disappeared. Always check that the icon appears, because otherwise you will have created the proxy files for nothing. If we now play the video, we see that it goes much more fluidly than before. Finally, the proxy files are saved in the same folder as the cache files. Click on the DaVinci Resolve Preferences tab, and in Media Storage, here you can choose where save the proxy files. When exporting your video, DaVinci Resolve will always use the original files unless you activate the option to use proxy files or use optimated files. These two options are deactivated by default. Never activate them. The optimized files and the proxy files are only for use in the editing process. Should not be used to render the final video.